I can peek around this guy and oh no! Oh, it's very cold in space. Welcome back to the Chromeworks studio in beautiful Ottawa, Canada. I'm Andrew Tomec, your technology teacher, back with another great Scratch lesson for you again this week, guys. So we are ready to wrap up this Among Us project. We've had tremendous response to this, and I'm really excited to finish this up today. So we've pretty much coded the important parts of the game, the imposter running around and catching crewmates and disposing of them. So what we're going to be working on today is mostly going to be the little fine details that are going to make this feel like a really authentic Among Us experience. We're going to have all the original music from the game, the music when the round starts, and the spinning target reticle we're going to do for when you can kill someone, and the dead body reported screen, and just all those little things that are going to make it look and feel a lot like a real Among Us game. So I'm excited to show you all of that. We're just going to tackle these things one at a time. None of them are super complicated. They're just a whole bunch of details. To get a game like this really working properly, you gotta finesse the details. And that's what Jeffrey has done with his fantastic version of the game that he's made for us. That really, I mean, even though the rules play a lot differently from Among Us, it has that feel of that game to it, I think. And bravo to him for this great project. Okay, so we're going to get started. There's a catch-up file waiting for you. So if you're starting right now on part 3, which seems a little silly to me, but if this is where you want to jump into the project, you can grab the part 2 catch-up file, and it has all the work we completed for parts 1 and 2, and you can just get started here. Otherwise, I would suggest you go and find the starter file. That's the blank file that has everything that you need to make the game, and go back to part 1 and watch this fantastic project from the beginning. But anyway, if you want to get jumping in right now, you can certainly get that code and get working from there. Let's go have a look at what progress we made in last week's lesson. All right, so we're here inside our file here, and you can see the work we've completed up until this point. We have our guys all circling around the table at the beginning and then moving off in random directions using this really cool sign pattern dispersion technique that Jeffrey came up with, where they appear to be kind of walking in random directions. They're actually painting little kind of S-curves using a trigonometry function. It's a little bit complicated, but looks so much more realistic than guys just kind of randomly drawing lines across the screen. It really looks like these guys are kind of panicking and running around a little bit. So our kill mechanic is all in place here. When we get close enough to these guys, there's going to be a targeting reticle appearing over them. That's not quite ready yet. We can also kill these guys and drag the body behind us. Now our game is ended here because we're supposed to go into a death animation now, and that's another part we're going to have to get going. But you can see that the bad guys, if they're close enough to us and they watch us catch someone, I guess they're the good guys technically, but who's keeping count? So if they're close enough to us, they will start running towards us to try and catch us in the act. And we have to dispose of this body before they can do that. And if we can, then we're good to go. So let's try this guy. Whoop. There we go. And I dragged the body behind me and tossed it out the door. And so I got out before those guys could get close enough to me. And that guy's gone. So, and I can keep doing that until I win the game. So that's basically the play mechanic we set up. It's looking good. We just are missing all the winning and losing conditions and the introductory screens and the stuff that'll make this feel a lot more Among Us like. So let's get working on those. I'm going to start with this black screen. So at the beginning of the game, we want the screen to start on black, and then the black fades away, and then we have the intro screen appear, and you can see it right here. It's called the Imposter, right? It's just showing you who the imposter is, and then the music should swell, and there's actually a really cool kind of visual effect. We're going to make this kind of grow on the screen. a little bit to make it kind of pop out and look extra dramatic. But first we start with the black screen, so let's go to that right now. When I click the green flag, we're going to bring it to the middle of the screen just in case it's been moved somewhere. So we'll go to 0, 0. That'll bring it to the middle. And we want to make sure it's right at the front because it's going to be in front of this other imposter graphic as well. So we'll go to our looks commands here and go to front layer. And we're going to want it to be totally visible at the beginning, but we're going to change that ghost effect, that effect that makes it a little bit more transparent, and in just a couple of seconds and make it fade away. So we always start, if we want to fade out, we want to start with this at 0, and the higher the ghost number, the more transparent your object is going to be. So we just wait a little bit. I'm going to wait just 0.3 seconds here after we click the green flag. Just enough time that you can register that the screen is black, and then it will start to fade away. We're going to play some music here, so let's go start sound. Round Start Main is a piece of music we have lined up here, and this will sound familiar to any fans of Among Us. Exactly, and so that's the familiar starting music, so we'll get that in there. And so after it plays that sound, or starts playing that sound, that's when our guy's going to start to fade in. So let's grab a repeat 10 times block, and we'll get that. We're going to change that ghost effect, change color effect, and we change this to ghost. Change ghost effect by 10. So 10 times 10 is 100. That means by the time we finish going around this loop 10 times, our, not our brightness, our ghost effect is going to be at 100. It'll be totally invisible. Oh, we can test this out now, and as you can see, it just brings you a black screen. The music plays ominously, and then it very quickly fades away, and you can see this imposter graphic underneath it. So that's pretty good. We need one other little bit of code here that we're going to call on later to make the black reappear on the screen, and we're going to call that, we're going to make that an event, and we'll call it fade to black. So when I receive, let's go fade to black. If you don't have that already, just type on new message. I think it's probably not on your version of the file, and just type in fade to black. So when I receive fade to black, let's just reverse this process here. Actually, I'm just going to duplicate this, and we'll go repeat 10 times, change ghost effect by -10. And just in case here, because there's some changing of the stacking order, we're going to bring this to the front just to make 100% sure it's at the front. Because if we're fading to the black and other stuff's at the front, of course, that's not going to work. So we'll move that in front of the fade to here. And you can see that when I click on this, it brings the black onto your screen. So clicking the top block makes it fade out with the music, and clicking this to receive this message fades it back to black again. Okay, that's all we have to do on the black screen. Let's have a look at that intro outro screen here. The graphic is right here, and you can see it's got a picture of Imposter, who is always going to be the red guy by some strange coincidence. So on this screen, let's go grab a green flag and get started again. So we're going to do a cool effect where this thing kind of appears to kind of zoom in just a little bit. It creates an ominous kind of aura, and I think you'll be impressed when you see it. So let's get it going here. First of all, let's make sure it's in the center. We'll say go to 0, 0, just in case you've accidentally slipped it someplace else on the screen. Now, while this is on the screen, we don't want this kill cooldown variable missing, so let's go hide it. We'll go to our variables, and we'll go hide variable kill cooldown. And that'll keep that out of sight while the screen is going here. And we're going to switch our backdrop right now to scaled cafes. We've got two choices here on the backdrop. We've got scaled cafeteria, and we've got a space background. And depending on what's going on the screen here, we're going to switch back and forth between these two. Like at the end when you're ejected, we're going to have this background, but for most of the game, we're going to have this. So this is a point where we have to switch back to that background again. So let's go switch backdrop. We'll go to our looks command, switch backdrop to scaled cafeteria. There we go. And Now, when this thing appears on the screen, it's going to go to the front. So let's go to our looks commands here, and we'll say go to front layer. And we're going to set the ghost effect here. So set color, change it to ghost. Set ghost effect to 0. So again, it's going to be fully visible at first, and then we're going to have it change that and start to fade away. Now we're setting our size here because we're going to mess around with our size a little bit. So let's go set size to 100%. So that'll reset it, and then we're going to do some funky stuff to it in a second here. So let's go to grab a repeat block. We're going to repeat this next thing 60 times. And what we're going to do there is just change the size by a tiny fraction. So let's go to our looks. We'll find it change size, and we're going to change by just 0.1. That doesn't seem like a lot, but when we run that loop, let me show this block here. Actually, I'm going to hide this background just so you can see what this looks like. I'm going to give you a little preview of what's happening here. And so when we click on this, you can see the screen just goes kind of ominously a little bit bigger. Combined with the fade in, it looks really cool. Let's try it with the fade in now. Oh, I hid the fade in. Let's make it visible again. Yeah, you can see it. It's a very subtle effect, but sometimes when you want to look really pro at these things, you have to not go crazy with it. It's the subtle stuff that actually looks more professional sometimes, believe it or not. Not the stuff that's in your face. Okay, so where are we here? We're back on the intro outro. So we're changing size by 0.1. And then we're going to change the size and the ghost effect simultaneously. So it's going to keep getting bigger, but it's also going to start to fade away while it's doing that. So we're going to go repeat 30 times. And inside that repeat block, we're going to change size by 0.1 again. Let's just duplicate that block to save us some time. And let's go to our looks command to go change ghost effect by 4. So over here in our change blocks, we can change that to ghost effect by 4. So 4 times 30 is technically way more than 100 here. So we're actually, hold it, let me think about this. So we're changing size by, we're just changing size by the last part here. So we've gone 60 times 0.1. So we've just changed our size by 6 here. And then we're changing our size by another 3 here. Yeah, times 0.1. There's some math going on here. Wow. Okay, let's click the green flag and see what happens. It fades in, gets bigger, and then fades away. And look at that. There's the intro to our game. It's already looking a lot cooler now, eh? All right. Nice. That's a really nice looking intro. Okay. So once we're done this stuff, all we have to do is show that variable again because we don't need it hidden anymore. We're back in the control room again and our game started. So let's go show variable, kill cooldown. All right. Now, we've also got an event here that's game ended. So at the end of the game, we're going to program this thing to do a couple of things. So when I receive, let's go to our events. When I receive game ended, we need to hide that variable again. So let's go to our variables and we'll go hide variable, kill cooldown. It's the only variable that's visible in this game. There's no real score or anything, right? We're just trying to take out all the dudes. Okay, kill cooldown. And this is where we switch that background, that backdrop, back to that space backdrop that I showed you a minute ago. Now, if there's anything on the screen right now, any drawings on the screen from us trying to kill guys and drag them behind us with our little rope, we're going to erase those right now. So let's just clean this up with an erase all command. All right. And then it says wait 12 seconds. So we're going to wait long enough for that ending where it says red was the imposter and your body floats into space. So our estimate is that it's going to take about 12 seconds for that to finish flying across the screen. So that's what we're going to do there. And then we're going to broadcast that fade in message. It's going to make the fade to black message here. And that's going to make the screen go back to black again. Okay, So that is it for the intro outro screen. So it's I don't think there's much more to see here right now. So let's go on to a couple of things in the game. So we've got the intro to the game. Now we're going to do a few things in the game, and then we'll work on the conclusion and the outro part. Okay, so inside the game, one of the things that happens when we're close enough to kill a crew member, this targeting reticle is going to appear on the screen. It's stuck behind something right now. Let's bring it to the front, or just let's look at its costume. So this is going to appear right on top of the character the closest character who's in range, who's within kill range from us. Now, to make this look extra cool, we're going to have it kind of spin around and fade in and fade out. And so there's a bit of code we have to do to get that accomplished. So let's go over to our targeting reticle here and have a look at the code. So when I click green flag, show, I'm just going to make it visible. Let's blow this up a little bit. All right, we're going to start a little forever loop where we're going to tell it to appear if it's within a certain distance of our guy. So we're going to have it constantly spinning invisibly around whoever the closest crewmate is. And it's going to look at that list. You might remember from last week that we were making a list of the absolute positions of all our guys. So we got their X positions here and their Y positions here. So our game is constantly keeping a database of where the 9 people are, or the other 8 people, crewmates who are with you are, and it's always calculating your distance to that person and figuring out which of these guys is closest to you at any given moment, and feeding that into a variable called closest crewmate. So let's tell the thing to keep going to the closest crewmate. We'll say go to a location, and in those spots, we're going to put whoever on the list is closest. So we're going to go to, let's grab our list variables, and an item here called, or the piece here called item. So this is the one. So this is where we say the number of, so item 1 of crewmate X positions is what we're in here. So if we're not looking at item 1, we're looking at the closest one on the list. So let's say number 2 is closest number on the list. So we're going to look at number 2 of that crewmate X positions list. So it's going to go to wherever number 2 is on this list, and that will bring us to that closest guy. So we already calculated that closest crewman index way back, I think, in lesson 2 last week. And so we just need to grab that variable, closest crewmate index, drop it in there, and put it into the X position. And we're going to do the same thing for the Y position. Exactly the same thing, except we're just going to change that to Y. So let's duplicate this block here, pop it in there, and make this the index of the crewmate Y positions. So this is going to send us this reticle right to the spot where the closest crewman is, their X coordinate and their Y coordinate. All right, and so if we get within a certain distance of a crewmate, it's going to flip a variable called targeting crewmate to 1. So we need to be waiting around and checking to see when that happens. So if targeting crewmate is equal to 1, let's go to targeting crewmate, which is one of our variables here. Targeting crewmate, there it is. If that's equal to 1, then let's rotate. So we're going to start spinning this thing around 5 degrees at a time. Let's go to our motion blocks and grab a turn right 15 degrees, and we're going to change that to 5 degrees. Now we're going to send this to the back layer. It's still going to be above our backdrop, but it should be behind all the dudes running around the screen here. So that's where we're going to go to the back layer. Let's go to grab this go to front layer one, and we'll change that to back. We're going to start fading. We're going to, so if we're close and it appears, we're going to have it a little bit transparent. We're going to change our ghost effect. So change color effect and change that to change ghost effect by -15. Okay, good. And once again, I've forgotten that this is an if-else statement. So if we're close to this guy, this is what's going to happen. But if we're not, then we have an alternative thing happening. Let's go just transfer this stuff into an if-else statement. This is my favorite mistake, the mistake I make more often than any other mistake in my life. It just seems to happen all the time here. All right. My students have mocked me for this many times for always getting if-elses, or always getting if statements when I need an if-else. Okay, so if not, we're going to change our ghost effect by 15. So this is only going to happen the once if we're targeting the crewmate, right? So I don't think this loop is going to run constantly. It's just going to run the once. So change ghost effect by 15. Okay, let's have a look at what that looks like now. So once we get close to someone, that should appear on the screen and start spinning around. Let's have a boo. Okay, so we're going to wait for that kill cooldown to be over before it's visible. And now when we walk up to someone, there it is. There's that targeting reticle. It kind of fades in. And then when we move away, I'm trying to get away from you, it disappears. So yeah, it kind of fades away when you get away from the distance there. That's really cool looking. Wow. So it kind of fades out and fades in and replaces itself around whoever that closest person is on the screen. Okay, we're going to wipe this guy out. Nope, not safe to do right now. Here we go. And you are doomed, my friend. Thank you. Okay, so that part's working great. All right, we're making good progress. As I said, this isn't very complicated. It's all about screens fading in and fading out. The stuff we're doing at the end here is really just about finessing the details to make this fantastic game. All right, let's go to the kill button now. Let's have a look at that. So the kill button is just there again to preserve that Among Us-y kind of look. It's at the back right now. Let's bring it to the front so you can get a better look at it. So that's down here in the bottom right corner. And instead of hitting the space key, you can punch that button anytime you want to kill the person closest to you. As long as that targeting reticle is visible, then that's where he's going to, then that button is going to work. Okay, so let's go to our kill button. We'll go grab a green flag. When green flag clicked, let's show it. And we'll grab a forever loop. And inside there, I'm going to say, so again, if I'm targeting the crewmate, that's what we want to know. Am I targeting someone? And that targeting reticle will appear. And this button's going to change when that happens. So if targeting crewmate is equal to 1, let's go to our variables. Targeting crewmate is equal to 1. Should be a little bigger here, right? All right, and this is an if-else. I caught myself a little earlier this time. So let's put that targeting crewmate into the if statement. There we go. So what are we going to do? We're going to switch our costume here. So we have some costumes here. One called kill button on, and it's kind of red, and then off. So it's just going to kind of get black and white and stand out less when we don't have the opportunity to kill someone. Okay, so switch costume to kill button. We're going to do in the if statement here. Switch costume to kill button, not the off, the kill button one. And we're going to set the size. Let's go to our looks command. We'll go set size to 60%. Now, otherwise, if we're not targeting a crewmate, let's just duplicate these two inner blocks because we're going to do a variation on this. We're going to switch our costume to kill button off, and we're going to set our size to 50%. So the button's going to appear to grow a little bit when we get within range. It's going to grow and turn red. Let's have a look at that. Let's max that screen. So when I get close to someone, when the kill down's over, you can see it gets bigger and changes color. And so that's a little visual signal to tell you got to mash that button now if you want to kill that guy. Ooh, I saw my opportunity. No, I got caught. And I'm dead. So it switched to the space background. I'm still not ejecting properly because we haven't gotten around to that yet. All right, there's a couple more things we have to do here when the game is ended. So let's go to our events. When I receive game ended, Let's hide. Let's go to our looks here and hide. And we're just going to stop this button changing from happening as well. So let's just go stop all other scripts in this sprite. So we'll grab the stop all and change it to kill this process, basically stop this forever loop from happening. Okay, and another little bit of code here that's going to actually activate this and kill your character if you push the button. So let's go ahead and we'll go when this sprite clicked, that's an event. When this sprite clicked, we're going to go, now of course if we click the button and we're not targeting someone, that's not going to help. So the first thing we're going to figure out is, are we targeting a crewmate right now? So let's grab an equal sign and pop it into that if statement, and we'll say if targeting crewmate is equal to 1. That means we are targeting. There we go. Now, let's change a few things around. We're going to set size again here. And the weird number that Jeffrey put in here was 62%. I'm not quite sure why, so it's just subtly different. We're going to set it to 60% later. I want to see what this looks like because I'm not quite sure what it's getting at here. Let's go set kill button pressed. So there's an event that's going to be triggered here. We're going to change a variable called kill button pressed. Let's go set kill button pressed to 1. And so as usually happens, this is going to, when we change a variable to 1 like this, it means it's going to be detected somewhere else in the game. It's the same as sending a message to another sprite, right? We can have a sprite monitoring for when that number changes to 1, and then it can trigger some kind of action. Now we're going to do another puzzling thing here. We're going to go wait 0 seconds. And the reason for that should, I've explained it in previous ones. It's not really super obvious, but sometimes if you have two things happening simultaneously, like when you set this kill button to 1, that's going to activate something over in another sprite, as I said. I think it's going to activate the ejected imposter and send him out the door. But simultaneously, we're also changing the size of this thing here. And if we want this to happen after the other event, we need to get it to wait just enough to get behind the other thing in the queue. So sometimes if you don't make it wait at all, some variable will flip back before it gets a chance to act. So because we have this waiting for 0 seconds, it will give the other script time to do something before this thing does its next action. So it's an imperceptible wait to you, but it matters to the computer because who does what in what order is often important here. Let's go to our variables. We'll set kill button pressed back to 0. So you see it was only pressed to 1 for the tiniest fraction of a second. All right, then we're going to wait a very, very short amount of time, 0.05 seconds. And then we're going to change the size again. So let's go to our looks command, then we'll go change size. Oh no, actually we're going to go set size to 60%. And that's where I'm saying it's just a little bit off of the other one. All right. So let's try pushing that button and see what happens here. We'll try killing someone via the button this time. Let's max our screen out. And move over to my favorite door, the right one here, and wait for him to get close, and we'll kill him. Oh, and I got tossed out the airlock before I could do anything. Okay, so apparently that kill button's doing everything that's supposed to. Let's have another look at that. Maybe wait for a safer moment here. Okay, come on close here, my friend. Come close to me. No, they're too close. There you go. Got him. And, okay, so that button seems to be working pretty well. All right, and I got caught there. I have not successfully won my own game yet. Just cannot do it. I guess I'm just not good enough. All right, and I think that wraps it up for this kill button. Not too complicated, I said. We're not doing anything super complicated today. All right, so that's triggering the, if we get caught, that triggers this ejected thing. Oh, we also want the dead body thing to appear here, right, when you get caught. So let's work on that actually, because that's a cool little effect here. Let's go over to our dead body here, and again we're going to do something funky with it to make it look a little kind of like it's shaking. So we're just doing some cool visual effects here to make this look a little more dramatic. We'll start with a green flag. We'll set our ghost effect to 100. So we're going to start invisible. And let's point in a direction. So we're just going to bring it a little bit off kilter. It's normally, most things are facing to 90 degrees by default, but we're going to have this point in direction 89. So let's point in direction. And rather than spinning the wheel, I'd rather type this 89. So just a little bit off kilter, and we're going to kind of shake it around a little bit now. So let's go grab a forever. And that'll add a little bit of a feeling. Here we'll grab a turn 0.5%. Or 0.5 degrees. That'll give it a sense of drama if it's kind of shaking around a little bit like that. Let's go repeat 2 times. And we'll go turn negative 0.5 degrees. So let's just duplicate that. Ooh, I grabbed the wrong part of it. So inside here, we'll just add a negative sign to the 0.5 degrees. And that'll bring it back to the direction where it came from, and then back in the other direction. So at the end of this, we're going to turn 1 degree to the right and 1 degree to the left. We just need one more turn here. So let's go to our motion blocks and turn another ½ degree in the regular direction, 0.5. So it's going to turn like this, and then like this, and then like this, and then turn like this, and it's just going to keep going back and forth between those 2 positions with these turn blocks here. Okay, and we're going to finish coding this before I test it, I think. So we got one more event here. That's when I receive game ended. So that means you've gotten caught. And let's go ahead and program that. So when I receive, so this guy's always shaking around, but he's just going to appear when we receive this game ended message. Okay, so that's how that works. They're just constantly shaking back and forth, but it's invisible, so the computer doesn't have to work too hard to keep that going. Let's go start sound. Report body found, and let's play that sound for you. This should be familiar. All right, that's cool. All right, and now we're going to have it fade out. Yeah, so it appears. Well, no, we're going to go change ghost effect by -20. So we're going to change. Yeah, we were at 100. So go, and then it'll go down to 0, and that will make it appear. Yeah, so it's going to kind of fade in here. So let's go repeat 5 times. Control, repeat 5 times. And inside there, we're going to change our ghost effect. Change color effect. And we'll change that to change ghost effect by -20. Good. All right, then we're just going to wait for other stuff to happen. So the timing here is 3.5 seconds. We're going to put that outside the repeat loop here, 3.5. And that will give time for some other stuff to happen on the screen. And then we're going to fade away again. So let's go repeat 10 times. Control, repeat 10 times. And we're going to change our ghost effect by 10 each time in there. All right, let's try getting caught here and see what that looks like. So now instead of going right to the space scene, we're going to go to this body, dead body reported screen, which is going to look better. So let's go get myself into trouble. Oh, that is looking good on the big screen. Okay, then we'll go over here and we'll catch someone. I'm going to kill someone here. Whoop, and I got caught. And I didn't see that dead body reported. So something is off here. Is it possibly because I hid this guy? There's no hide or show command. I probably hid this guy a while ago just to get him off the screen. So let's make him visible again. And I think that will probably fix our problem. Let's try this one more time. Okay, here's our imposter. Let's go down to the bottom for once. All right, and let's kill this guy. Dead body reported, and I love the way it's shaking around. That looks really cool. And then it fades away and then shows us being ejected from the airlock. Okay, so now we got to actually eject ourselves from the airlock. So that's the next step here. Let's go over to the sprite that's called an ejected imposter. And we're going to make this kind of float around through outer space here. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to go when green flag clicked, set ghost effect to 100. Set color effect, we'll change that to ghost to 100. So it's going to be totally invisible when we click the green flag. But then when we need it, when I receive game ended. So let's go to our events. When I receive game ended, we're going to wait 5 seconds for that dead body screen to disappear. We're going to send it to the left side of the screen. So let's grab a go to XY, and we're going to type in -242, which will bring us right off the left edge of the screen, and Y of 0. He'll be coming across the middle of the screen. Okay, let's grab a forever here. And we're going to change our X. We're going to have it float across the screen at a speed of 3. And we're going to have it rotate while it moves. So let's just turn a little bit under our motion blocks here. We'll say turn 0.7 degrees. And if touching the edge of the screen, so we're going to keep doing this until it touches the screen, and we need an if else here. Actually, I finally caught myself once. So if touching edge, that's a sensing block here at the top under touching mouse. We'll change that to touching edge, and we're going to change our ghost effect inside here. So if I'm touching the edge of the screen, it's going to fade back away again. So let's go to our change ghost effect. We're going to grab the change color effect, change it to ghost, and change that by 5. Okay, and otherwise it's going to fade in. So if it's not fading out, it's going to fade in by -10. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. So he's going to be spinning and moving across the screen. Let's see what that looks like. So I'm going to get myself caught again here. I'm just going to have fun killing somebody. There we go. Gotcha. Dead body reported. And here comes my body floating through outer space. Well, that doesn't look right. Okay, I made a rookie mistake there. So he was turning off the screen instead of going straight across it. Because, and I was, even while I was doing this, I realized something was wrong. It's moving and then turning, and that's going to curve his movement. Because we realized that a move command always moves in the direction we're facing. So if you want someone to move straight, you definitely can't have him turn and move simultaneously. What I did wrong here is this should actually be change your X position. So that will move him at the same speed, but always in that direction, straight to the right. So change X by 3. Let's test that again. And I think we solved our problem here. I'll get myself caught here when my kill cooldown's over. Okay, here we go. Get this guy, dead body reported. And then, oh no, thanks for playing. Nice. I really like the way it looks like he's kind of floating and then he fades away. And it's all looking good. All right, I just cannot believe how smoothly things are going here. I just keep waiting for something horrible to happen, but we're doing great with this today. Okay, so while that's fading out, we're going to have this Morse code kind of message going, and it's going to say red was the imposter, right? To show us that we got killed, basically the same way you would have gotten killed in regular Among Us. So there's different ways to do this. Jeffrey did an interesting thing with the costumes here. You can't really see very well, but we've got something here where he spelled out the word in a little bitmap font here, and he's having it get bigger and bigger and bigger as we go across here in each costume. Now that might not be the most efficient way to code it. There are probably ways that we can just put the word down and mask it somehow. But one of the cool things about the way Jeffrey did this is he's having these costumes appear as they touch the ejected imposter. So we were trying to coordinate the movement so that the imposter would appear, so that the text would appear right behind the imposter. And he found kind of a genius way to do that I think is really cool. Let me show you what it looks like. So we're coding the ejected, oh no, we're coding the red was the imposter code here, and we're just going to be doing some fancy costume changes. So let's start with a green flag. We'll hide it at the beginning. Of course, we don't need this till he dies. Let's zoom that a bit. Let's go set ghost effect. Ghost effect to 0. So it's going to be completely visible when it does appear again. Let's switch our costume to red was the imposter 20, which is actually the first costume. So let's look at our, the numbering system for this is a little bit wacky. So just move it to the first costume on the list. So let's go set costume, or switch costume to red was the imposter 20, just the first one on the list there, if you're having trouble seeing it. Okay, so the action's going to start here when I receive that game over ended message. So let's go find that. When I receive game ended, we're going to wait 1 second here. And we're going to go to the back layer behind all the other stuff that's happening here. So let's go to back layer. And we're going to show, because we were invisible before. All right, now here's a weird construction you're going to see here. You don't see this very often, but a forever inside a forever. Let's go look at the twisted logic that put this together. So we're going to have an if statement inside the forever statement, and then a forever inside the if statement. What a weird construction that is. So we're basically going to be running around this if statement forever, checking for something to be happening. And when that thing happens, we're just going to get into a new forever loop. We don't need to come back out here anymore because the game is over. All right, so now that we have that skeleton in place here, let's go fill in some of the details. So I'm going to say if touching ejected imposter. So what we're going to keep doing here is probing out to see touching ejected imposter. So that's that character we have spinning across the screen here. There he is, ejected imposter. So it's going to keep spinning around this loop here, checking this, just waiting for us to be touching that ejected imposter. And if it is touching, then we get into that second loop here, where we're going to be changing the costume based on whether we're touching, whether this text is touching the imposter. And what's going to happen is the imposter kind of sliding across the screen here is going to activate the costume changes. So the text is going to keep appearing behind him as he flies through outer space. We're just going to be probing ahead and checking to see whether he's touching us here. It'll make more sense as we do it here. So let's go forever. We're going to go to our motion blocks here, and we're going to very quickly change our X by -17 here. -17, I think, is the width of your letters here, about 17 pixels. So we're going to jump over one letter over and check to see if we're not touching. So we need an if statement inside here. And inside there, we need a not. There we go. There's our not. So if I'm not touching the ejected imposter, so basically it's going to keep swinging around this loop after it's touching until it's not touching anymore. and then it's going to do something different. So if not touching ejected imposter, then it's going to switch costume. So every time it doesn't, it's going to switch the costume, and that's going to make the text kind of appear to slide over. It's going to go boop, 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 and appear across the screen. Let's go start our little sound here, the eject text, which is just a little beep. All right. And then, so we probe ahead, we check to see if we're not touching, and regardless, we're going to go back to where we started from. This happens so fast. Let's go change X here again. Change X by -17. All right, so we got to make sure this is stacked up properly. So this is a weird construction. You might run into trouble putting this together. So let's look at the structure. We've got an if statement here with a forever inside it. And then inside this forever loop, here's where we have the change X and a change X below, and sandwiched between that is this if statement. Okay, underneath this change X is another if statement. So let's add that, control if, but still, okay, so under the change X, but inside these other loops. So you'll see a whole bunch of stuff down below it, 3 different layers below it. If change X by 17, if costume number is equal to 20, so it's basically going to keep doing this until we get to our last costume, which tells us that we're basically done this animation. So let's go costume number under our looks here. Costume number is equal to 20. If costume number is equal to 20, which is the last one, then we're going to wait 3 seconds, and then we're going to fade away. So let's go grab a repeat 20 block, put it right under the wait 3 seconds, repeat 20, and we're going to change our ghost effect by 5 each time. So let's go to our looks, change ghost effect by 5, and that will bring us to 100, which will make it invisible again. Okay, and then underneath there, once we're out of this repeat loop, we're just going to stop all of this nonsense with a stop other scripts in this, stop this script. Yeah, we want all of this sound changing stuff to all disappear. So it's a little bit complicated here. It's going to make more sense when we actually play it in the game. But so what's happening here is it's really difficult to show. So let me try and bring this to the front here, and maybe I can try to demonstrate this for you. So this is one of the harder concepts to give you an understanding of. So we've got our costumes here. We start off with nothing, and then we get costume 1, costume 2. And you can see as we go along through here, we reveal more and more of the text. And so our guy is going to be flying across the screen here. If we're not touching the white here, if we get too far, well, we lost that. So let's bring that to the front again. Sorry. Oh, we're on the wrong part here. So go to front layer here. So here we go. So as we change through these costumes, our guy is going to be floating. And if he gets too far ahead and he's not touching this anymore, then the costumes are going to jump ahead and catch up to where we are. So every time we get too far ahead of the imposter, then these costumes are going to start changing until it's touching again. Now the cool thing then is that the ejected imposter is going to unveil this guy as he moves along. It's a really clever way to do that and not even have to worry about the timing. Like he could have had this change every 0.2 seconds and match that up to the speed of the imposter. But the clever thing is here, we can even change the speed that the ejected imposter is moving, and it'll still keep up with us here. Let's try killing ourselves and have a look here. Imposter. So I'm going to go down to the bottom of the screen here and recklessly kill someone. There we go. Dead body reported. And now watch this. And here I go flying. And as I fly, whoa! Okay, something wacky happened here. I think I've coded something wrong. I'll have a quick look. All right, it turned out I put a wrong number in there, and that threw everything out of whack. So I had to change X by 10 here instead of change X by 17 to bring this back again. And that made my text start sliding to the left across the screen, as you saw there, because it was moving more to the left than to the right. And that drove it right off the screen, and then it never detected the thing anymore. So even when I changed this number around, it still wasn't quite working properly because the text had flown right off the screen and I hadn't even realized it. So just in case this accidentally gets slid around, let's move it back to 0, 0 to the center of the screen, just in case something happens, because obviously if this is not in the right place, it doesn't work properly. I think we can test our game, and it's probably going to be working much more nicely now. There we go, Imposter. Let's wait for a cooldown to end, and then we'll waste somebody here. There we go, dead body reported, and this should be working properly now. Here we go, fingers crossed. Nice. So isn't it cool the way the text just appears right underneath him here, right? So at the speed that he's moving across the screen here. So again, the costumes are changing to touch him, and then when he gets too far away and he's not touching it anymore, it changes costume to make the costume bigger again, and then it's touching him again. And all the while you're doing that sound is coming out going every time that it moves. I think that's a really cool little script, and it works beautifully once we have ironed out the bugs. So good work here. All right, we are almost done. I think we just have a little bit more work to do in this outro. So we don't have a winning condition here. And so we're looking at this screen here called outro. Let me show you what it looks like. We got to bring it to the front as well, because it looks like some other stuff has come behind it. There it is, victory. So that's the only thing we're left with. We already have a death screen here, so we just need a victory screen here. So let's go when green flag clicked, go to 0, 0. Let's just tell this to get back to its initialization position. You don't really need to do these things, but sometimes you accidentally move stuff around, and this always just nicely resets everything when you're done. Set ghost effect to 100. So we want this completely invisible. Let's magnify that. All right, and then when the game over event happens, when I receive game 1, so that's a different one from game over, and this will appear when we've eliminated the last of the imposters. Let's go start sound, victory imposter. So we've got another sound here for you. All right, that's kind of cool. That's another good old Among Us sound. All right, and for the end screen here, let's hide that cooldown variable again. Let's go down to our variables, hide variable cooldown animation. Where'd that go? I always have trouble finding that variable. Hide cooldown. Why can't I see it? Kill cooldown. Ah, okay. Kill cooldown. All right, we're hiding that variable. Then we're going to erase again. We did this a little earlier, but again, we need to erase in case we drew a line across the screen there. Whether we lose or win, we still have to erase, of course. Let's bring this graphic to the front. Well, I just had a bring to the front and I deleted it. Silly me. So bring to the front is under our looks commands here. Go to front layer. We're going to set the size to 100%, and we're going to play around with it a little bit here, the same way that we did over in the intro outro. And we're just going to do that same zoomy effect here. So let's go repeat 30 times. And each time we're going to change the size. Let's go to our looks blocks here. Change size by just 0.1, just a little bit at a time. And then we're going to change the ghost effect here to have it slowly fade in. So we're going to go change ghost effect by -4. And then we're going to repeat 160 times. I'm not sure what this is going to look like. Repeat 160 times, and each time we're just going to tinily change the size just by 0.06. So change size by 0.06. Now I do not think I'm gonna be able to play this game to test it for you. I have not successfully killed all the bad guys yet. So maybe I'll just give it a try here one more time and really go for broke here and see if I can kill this guy. And maybe I'll speed through a couple of attempts here on the tape just so that you guys don't have to sit here watching me embarrass myself. And if I do too badly, I could just, through the magic of film editing, of course, just make it look like I did fantastic. I'll just erase any tape that looks bad for me. So we're going to go fade to black, broadcast fade to black here. So at the end of all of this, when the size changes are done and the thing fades in, we're going to fade to black, which is going to bring that black screen over the game. And that is the end of the project. Okay, let's give this a test run here. See if I can actually manage this. Okay, I'm actually going to go for broke here and try to kill this guy. And died on my first try. Okay, let's try one more time. One of them bites the dust. Oh, got away with that one. Got it. So these guys are getting scared of me now. That's good, actually, right? There we go, ejected. All right, we're down to 2 guys. We're doing great. I just got to separate these guys from each other. They're going to catch me. So I got to find a way to get between these 2 fellas. Well, this is the tricky part of the end game. I guess I hadn't realized. Let's get between them so they move in different directions. And now it's an easy kill to get rid of them. There we go. Off we go. And here's our last guy. I've actually done it. I've successfully won my own game here. Wow. Kill him. Toss him out the airlock. And then victory! Yes. Okay. So that, my friends, is how you make a video game. I think this is fantastic. It's a really cool little game. You're not going to spend forever playing this, of course. There's not too many details here, and so the replay value is not that great. I really think it's really a nice little attempt to capture the spirit and the feeling of the Among Us game. So bravo to my coder, Jeffrey, for putting this together. We're going to be back next week with a new game tutorial. I think because it's Christmas time, we're going to do something holiday themed. So get ready for that. All right. In the meantime, have a great week, and we will see you next time.